Hello, buenas tardes, buenos días, buenas noches, everyone. Welcome to the Chancleta Generation podcast. And we're here with another episode and another awesome guest. I am sure that you know by now. I hope that you do. I am Clemencia. And I am your host and founder of Moira Studio, which is an advertising agency that communicates with Latinos across the US. And today, this is a topic that is super near and dear to my heart. It's a hard one to talk about, but we're gonna try to make it really positive and a moment of growth here. So it won't come as a surprise to any of us that Latinos carry a lot of deep and complex generational trauma that has been passed through the decades, through the centuries, kind of. From the impacts of discrimination, social unrest, to patriarchal family dynamics, this collective trauma has shaped our worldview. And as we explore this important topic today, we'll dive into how this trauma comes about, how it manifests, the personal journeys that we've had of healing, and the commitment that is required to break these cycles and build a better future for our kids and grandkids. And with this episode, we hope that the stories that we're sharing and the insights that we've come up with can resonate with you guys and who may be having the same challenges. And maybe it can help your family, your community. So to unpack all of this extremely important aspect of our lives, we have this amazing woman that I've had the fortune to know. Lydia Sierra is with us today.
Hey, hi. Thank you for having me, Clemencia.
So Lydia is a seasoned nonprofit organizational development professional with over 30 years of experience leading organizations and project teams to surpass revenue and impact goals. I am a witness of this. Her expertise has contributed to securing millions of dollars in public and private funding, and Lydia excels in project management and strategic planning with a proven ability to design innovative, revenue-generating products and services that drive sustainability and growth. Her dedication and strategic vision make her a trusted leader in the nonprofit sector. I know because I've actually worked with Lydia. I've had the pleasure to work with some of the organizations that she works with, and she is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Clem. Thank you.
It's such an honor to have you here today. We've talked offline about your story. You have an incredible story. And we can get to that in a little bit, but you work with nonprofit organizations, specifically nonprofit organizations that work with people of color. I'm sure that you have seen the effects of this generational trauma firsthand in your work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a collective trauma for sure. We in many ways we share the same story. In many ways. So I'm really glad to be here to talk about this and to be vulnerable, to be, to speak out in public, so more people can speak out and talk about, the path to resilience, the path to restoration, the path to healing. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, it sounds like a broken record, right? When when a friend of ours is Latina or Latino is telling us their family story, you're like, Yep. Yep. I mean, there was a comedian, the Colombian comedian, La Pelota de Letras, and he was like making fun of like his parents. And it was like, it became so famous across Latin America because this is every one of our parents. Like, this is not something different. It's like, we all have this shared experience. I mean, like, it's like, we're talking about centuries of colonization first, oppression, discrimination, and then more recently we've been still having social unrest in the patriarchy. So it's like, we've been living with centuries of baggage here. And a lot of our reactions are based on trauma, on that trauma. Even if we didn't grow up with it specifically, it's like, we're carrying it from us. Like, what is your experience with that?
Yeah. Yes, we have a collective trauma, but in our trauma, sometimes we just feel like we're the only ones experiencing it. Right. I know I felt that way, when I experienced my father's abuse, sexual abuse, I isolated. I didn't, my story didn't matter enough in my family. And so it was just something that I had to carry with me, and that, along with all the other trauma from being raised in poverty or being raised in a very poor community, like the South Bronx, which is known as has been known for decades as the poorest congressional district in America. Being raised in a neighborhood that was affected by both, the dual drugs and AIDS epidemics, of which I lost both of my parents to. Like, all of that trauma, when I was younger, I didn't realize that we were all suffering from it. I felt like this little girl in this really tough neighborhood, a war zone. If it looked like a war zone, because in those days, there were these burned buildings all over the place. I'm the oldest of 5, and my brothers used to play in those abandoned lots, in those burned buildings, and jumping from windows to mattresses, and that stuff. And so I remember just feeling so unworthy, growing up, feeling unworthy and shame, and then punished for normal responses or normal reactions to trauma. We took the Chancleta generation. We're talking about, I got hit with the Chancleta, the police lock, the rice spoon. Like, what I didn't
the
get
wooden
hit
spoon.
with.
I've heard about the wooden spoon.
The wooden spoons, and it's like that's the generational trauma there. Instead of receiving the care, the nurturing, the embrace, the security, the safety, instead it was punishment. It was punishment. So I could learn to stay in my lane, and breaking out of that is a process. It's a journey.
Yeah, because I also
life.
think that there is a collective feeling that. And you said that it's like you deserve it, like this whole, and I think this comes back from like Catholicism, which is like sacrifice, suffering. Like you get to holiness by sacrifice and suffering, right? And it's like we really took that in heart, right? It's like, we're going to suffer, and we deserve to suffer, and that's how we will get to where we need to be. And like, this suffering is absolutely unnecessary. We're worthy of not suffering, but there's something intrinsically ingrained in our brains that just says, no, we have to sacrifice, we have to suffer, we have to just go through life trudging through the mud, and that's the only way that we can get things done.
Yep. And when things are good, things are going really good, we're waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yes.
Because new level, new devil. There's always this expectation that things are going to go wrong, things are going to go bad, that this is God's way of keeping us disciplined, of keeping us humble. And no, we need to break. That's all religious dogma. That's all social conditioning. We need to just completely deconstruct all these social constructs and become free.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah.
I live in
you heard of that saying, Dios aprieta pero no ahorca?
Yes.
And it's like, this is what we think of God.
Yes.
We think that God is here testing us and like choking us and like No, that's not what God is supposed to be doing.
It's so evil. evil. Yeah, we're so evil that we need this judgment and this guilt to keep us in line. And no, there's nothing better than learning that I am worthy, that I am a vessel of love, that I am love, and that I am light. There's nothing more empowering than that.
Yeah.
And that's my self-talk today. But it took a long time for me to get here.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about like how you got there. How is it that you went from I deserve to be punished to I am a body of love and I can give love and I deserve to be loved? So I guess that seems like a huge difference here. Tell us more.
Yeah. It's decades of work. I definitely I embodied the pain of my community. I had all this ancestral trauma, stored in my body that kept me from doing a lot of things, and then I got to a point where when I lived in New York, I lived in the Bronx, I was raised in religion. I was taught to incarnate in my community, to become flesh in my community where I live, where I work, where I play, so that I can be a model to other people within my community and, help to build and restore, and I believe that with all my heart. And I was in my community. I was giving everything. My life has been, human service professional. And I got really burned out.
I was going to say, it's a big responsibility.
And raising children, and I got so burned out that 10 to 11 years ago, when I relocated from the Bronx to Rhode Island, I had to let go of all that survivor's guilt. I had to put the mask on myself and say, okay, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I can't help you right now if I'm going to die. So I put the mask on myself first. I had my stress levels were so high that it was breaking my immune system. I was on the path to diabetes and chronic disease. I was breaking out in hives. I was really burned out. And I came to Rhode Island, and there it was like, okay, I was able to breathe. I was able to start therapy. Therapy alone, just talk therapy, it helped to calm my system. I didn't have to go on this 2-year allergy treatment that they were recommending for me in the Bronx. I would have put all of these toxins in my body, had I stayed there, and instead, all I needed to do was talk. All I needed to do
get
was
it out of your system.
And so I did that for the first, when I did 2 years of therapy without missing a session. I committed to my healing. I had no choice. I just had no choice. I knew that I was getting very sick by being in the Bronx and experiencing the burnout that I did. And so for the 10, 11 years that I've been here, by the grace of God, I've seen a psychoanalyst. I've seen a neuro-linguistic practitioner. I've seen an energy healer. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the somatic exercises. I see a functional medicine doctor. I have a nutritional coach. I am really focused on my healing today, and because of it, all the personal development that I have been experiencing has also created professional development, and it has allowed my business to soar. Within the last 5 years, my business has scaled. We went from 5 clients to 15 clients. We went from a team of 2 to a team of 15. This is the growth. When you give that time to yourself, you're able to then give so much to other people.
That's exactly what I was concluding out of your insight. It's like, in order for you to give to others, you have to have your cup full. You have to be okay. And that is something like us Latinos, just in our cycle of sacrifice and trauma response, we're not taking care of ourselves. We're just
Yes.
like, oh, todo por los niños, todo por la abuela, todo por, it's like all this, like just giving and giving and giving, especially women, like just giving and giving and giving. And then what? And then we're empty. And then we have nothing inside ourselves, and we're getting sick, and we're getting stressed, and then we blow up. And then or men, and then there's violence, there's tension in the family, there's and I think it's like, taking care of yourself, even if you don't have money to pay for therapy, just take some time for yourself. Take it and listen to your body, listen to your mind, maybe write down things, maybe just do something nice for yourself. And then when you feel like your cup is full, then you can give to others.
Yep. Yes. Very good. I'm glad you mentioned money, because I know that, like I mentioned doing a lot of things, that took money, all of these practitioners I've worked with and I continue to work with, it costs money, right? And I think about the privileged position that I have now to be able to pay for these services that are really, are helping me with my growth and my healing. But, as a nonprofit practitioner, there are so many free resources out there. There are so many community-based organizations that within poor communities that are giving free workshops, free, acupuncture, Reiki sessions, support groups. And, this is, you have to find the resources. If you really are focused on your healing, even YouTube, sit down and YouTube, even on Zoom, create a community of people that are like-minded, like you, that can help you through all of the limiting beliefs that our past has created. These are I have had to really focus on, like, what are my blocks? Why is it that, visibility and engagement is so hard for me? Why is it so hard for me to be seen? What is it that I'm afraid of? You know what I mean? And I'm here today because my focus is not about being seen. My focus is about sharing my story. My focus is about, hopefully, helping somebody to heal from whatever they've been through. So that's the game, and that's the real thing. That's what I'm here for. I just want to bring healing as much as, and if it means being visible and being on a podcast like yours, then I'm all for it. I'm all about being vulnerable. I'm too transparent, and I'm way too transparent, but it's part of my my faith background. And I believe you share your testimony, and then God does it again. Then God is able to do it for the next person. So I'm here to testify, that I've been through this healing process, and I am beyond grateful for the leaps and bounds of my healing process. Not only in my life, I could see it in my children, I could see it in my grandchildren, and I'm just full of gratitude.
Thank you so much for sharing. And the only way that other people will understand that they are not alone in this trauma is by hearing other people's trauma stories too. I mean, I already, went out of all my fingers counting the people that I know that have gone through sexual abuse as children. I know way too many men and women abused by men and women, and like it's a taboo story. Nobody wants to tell anybody. It's always a secret that people are keeping to themselves. The more that these stories come out, the more that the abusers will be afraid that to abuse, because more people will be coming out to uncover them. And then the more people that speak out about it, the more normalized it could become, in a way that is like, you're not ashamed of it. There's more people that have suffered of this, and it's not normal, but it is not a subject of shame, and a subject that you're alone in this and you deserve this or something like that. It's not anybody's fault. It's not, if you were if you were abused, it's not your fault. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. And
That's right.
and it's and there's a lot more people than you think. That the moment that you start sharing the story, more people will come out. I know from my family's and my friends' experiences, the more that people talk about it, the more other people step out into the light and share their story too. It's painful, yes, but it's more painful to keep it all inside.
That's right.
It destroys you. It's like poison.
I think part of the taboo around sexual abuse is because we don't talk about it enough. We don't really accept that it's a disease, and that's why sex abusers or sex offenders have to be registered when they live in communities. They have to be registered as sex offenders because it's a disease. It's very likely that they can do it again, and so I think that right there, because I know within my own family, it's like, oh, we don't want to say that this person is a sex offender, and I'm like, but then you're not protecting the rest of the family, and the reason why the person is registered in public is because it's a disease. Once they're sexually abusing multiple people, this is now a disease, and you have to isolate that person, and in order to keep the rest of the family safe. That doesn't mean isolate in the sense of, not showing them love, not showing them care, not feeding them, not celebrating their birthday. It's not that. They're a human being. They need care. They need connection. They need family. They need community, but they have a disease. Right. It's just like you're not going to put we're talking about, the COVID vaccine, right? We're not going to go into a room full of people that have COVID and not expect to get COVID. But we're gonna protect ourselves. Doesn't mean we don't love the people that are sick, right? But we know that we have to keep a boundary so that we can keep ourselves healthy. It's the same thing. It's just the same.
Yeah, but I think in Latino culture, there's el que dirán, and so exposing an abuser in your family is a subject for shame. Right? It's like, then there's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with the rest of the family. People may think, may be shunned. A whole families may be shunned by others. And that is something that as a community, that's another piece of, trauma response that we have. It's kind of like, there's a disease right there. We need to get out. We need to stay away from them. There's something wrong with them. And instead of helping, they may also have an abuser in their family, but they're just like, we're perfect. Those are the ones that have the issues. And it's like, that just damages so much, like the community and the trust that people have. And it's okay. Like, it's fine. Like, we're here to grow and to learn and to get better, and we're never gonna get better with these secrets and the shame things like that.
A family with secrets stays divided. I learned that.
I also read this book a long time ago. It's called it was in Spanish, The Lights and Shadows of Your Family Tree. And in there, it was a really interesting theory saying that secrets that your ancestors have kept get passed on to generations unconsciously, and then it gets manifested in your offspring. So if someone was abused 100 years ago by a family member, and then that is kept a secret, the chain of abuse will keep happening until that is healed. Keeping secrets that are not healed will keep manifesting themselves. This is not a woo-woo theory. Like, they had facts. And then look at your family tree. Analyze it and see if that happens too. Anywhere from, physical abuse, psychological abuse, even substance abuse, things like that. Those things get passed on from generation to generation until they're healed. They will keep happening. They will keep damaging your family.
That's right.
It's a very, very interesting theory. I can post a book on social media. It's a very interesting book. It may be a little woo-woo, but you know what? Woo-woo stuff is really what got us to like a better place of healing.
Yeah, woo. Gut instincts is woo.
Yeah.
Just as a businesswoman, I rely on my intuition.
Yeah.
More than ever, and that's woo, right? That's woo, and I'm telling you, I am amazed at how healing myself and following my intuition and knowing the difference, right? Is that my intuition, the difference between a trauma response and intuition, right? Like, that's part of the healing, is to be able to discern, oh, why am I feeling funny? Is it, and knowing that, oh, wait a minute, it's not Clem. It's because, oh, Clem's curly hair reminds me of my mom's curly hair, and just being able to just break things down so that you can realize, wait a minute, I don't have nothing against Clem. Clem is not the one making me uncomfortable. Yeah. It's my own baggage,
Yeah, that's how triggers work.
That's how triggers work.
Yeah.
That's right.
When you get triggered, immediately, if we analyze why is it that we're feeling that way, it most of the time has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with something that happened to you in the past that is coming up. And until you heal that, it will keep triggering you over and over and over again. So it's important to really listen to ourselves. And this is where I'm glad you brought this up, the trauma response and then trauma informed. You said that term yesterday, and I thought it was so interesting, the huge difference that is. It's like trauma response is just something that you do unconsciously, that you're just like completely triggered and like you lose control of yourself. That's a trauma response. Yep. And then maybe afterwards you feel ashamed the way that you reacted, or you feel defeated, or there's like there's an after feeling that is just not good, it's yucky. And then trauma informed is stopping and analyzing and saying, this is a trigger. This is me being triggered, and it has nothing to do with that person. That's right.
So with me being very much aware of my my trauma and how it has manifested in my life and in my personality, and I've brought all of that awareness into my management with my team. I remember just I had my 3 employees, and this is maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago now, and I remember just going into my management meeting, and they're like, Lydia, how are you doing? And I just I had no more capacity to put on my professional face. And I just was like, I am struggling right now, and when I did that, I was just shocked at the response of my team. And then, I was honest. It was a mental struggle that I was going through, and they just shared their experiences with mental health, or, their personal experience, or experience with family members, and all of a sudden that created such trust in my team, that there was even one day when one of the team members caught like an actual anxiety, a panic attack driving, because we had this huge proposal to submit. It was one of those proposals that takes like 200-300 hours to do. And it was a team. He was managing like this whole big group of like 7 people that were being written into this proposal, seven different vendors and organizations, and he had to stop and he had to deal with his anxiety, and he was able to share that as well. I was sharing with you that this trauma-informed lens, especially having a deadline-driven business like mine, which everything is a deadline. Every proposal is a deadline, and so and me, I started this business with a full-time job and writing proposals at night. That's how I started,
Wow.
Years ago.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I was the first one working at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to finish a proposal, or taking my weekends and writing proposals. And so when I started this business, I was very intentional that I did not want my team to work the way that I did when I started. Everyone has to work within a healthy time frame, no weekends. We're not texting or calling each other, after hours. And there's no chaos in my business.
Because you didn't want that in your life.
I don't want it in my life. Yeah. I don't want it in my life. That's right.
And that really goes to show that we have the power to change whatever we want and to live the way that we want. Life is not something that's been subjected to us. It's not something that happens to us. It's something that we can control. It's something that we can control. And yes, money is important, and sometimes we need to do crappy things for money. But little by little, if you make a commitment to say, I want to live my life in a certain way, you can. You can. Doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much responsibility you have. You also have the choice. And with the choice comes a commitment. And we talked about this yesterday, Lydia. We talked about that in order for us to heal, it's an everyday commitment. Every single day we wake up and we're committed to healing that trauma, to making ourselves feel better, little by little things that we can do every single day to make ourselves feel better. Do some self-care. Say no to things sometimes. Oh, you're gonna work late? No, not gonna work late today.
What I've learned in my healing process, yes, saying no to other people is obviously very important, but it's not about saying no to other people. It's actually about saying yes to me.
Love that.
It's about saying yes to me. It's about listening. Oh, Lydia, why do you feel nervous? What do you need right now? Why, you don't have focus. What do you need right now? And then saying yes to me. And then when somebody says, oh, I need you. I'm sorry. I actually already made plans and it's with me, it's for me. And then, that might sound selfish, but again, that's the problem. This is the limiting beliefs, right? That taking care of yourself is selfish and in a negative tone, but again, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't listen to, my 5-year-old self, my 14-year-old self, when, that the hurt child parts of me are calling out and saying, I need attention. I love listening to my 14-year-old now. My 14-year-old got me into a lot of trouble, and then as an adult, my 14-year-old, loves to eat, loves good food, loves snacks, and it's like, oh, it's Friday. It's like 14-year-old's like, oh, let's play, and I learned, okay, if my 14-year-old wants to play, how do I integrate that from the 14-year-old and the 50-year-old? How do I integrate that now and have healthy play? Play the way that I want to, with things that will make me happy, and that I will enjoy to do. So yeah, it's about saying yes.
I love inner child work. I love inner child work because for too long I kept my inner child in a cage. I silenced her. I said, stop. This is the adults here doing their things, and you can't interrupt me. And then I realized that she was telling me what she wanted, and then until I got really sick, until I had to, get treatment for chronic disease, and then I realized, like, maybe I do need to listen to her a little bit more. And what about what I like, about what I want, what makes me happy, and not like, what do I need to achieve? The achievement.
The achievement trap. The achievement trap. That's what I call it. You know, because I know for a very long time, obviously I'm an ambitious person, but ambition can also has, its traps.
Yes.
It has its traps.
Yes.
And so I love what you just said. Yes. I felt that when you just spoke about your inner child and listening, I felt like we elevated that elevated. I felt like we just went into another dimension of, and a higher dimension, a dimension of love.
Yeah.
Of love. That's
self-love.
love. And
self-love.
Yeah. That's right. And when you love yourself, I love you more.
Yeah.
And we
could give more love. Yeah. Because our cup is full and our inner child is happy. They're playing.
That's right.
They're eating good food. They're doing things that they enjoy. So then they can help you achieve the things that you want. But there is, and we've talked about this in this show, the systemic barriers are not going to go away anytime soon. And this is why we need to take care of ourselves. Because if we're fighting and trying to achieve within systemic challenges, we are going to suffer. And if we don't take care of ourselves. And this is the achievement trap. Sometimes the world out there is going to keep us from achieving the things that we want, mostly because of how we look, the color of our skin, how our hair looks, the accents that we got, our ancestry, where we come from, whatever. But taking care of ourselves, listening to our inner child is going to help us along the way, because we need to take care of ourselves and love ourselves, because sometimes the world is hard. Not everybody's gonna love you. So we gotta love ourselves.
Can you imagine just the better parenting that we would do, with the better parents that we would be if we really were healed that inner child? We would be able to see our children and see the nurturing that they need, instead of, trying to make them into something that we want to make them into. Give them the nurturing that they need. Like, sit down on the floor, play with them, and just like honor their child experience, their children.
Yeah. And maybe your inner child will have fun too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why they say grandparents who spend more time with their children live longer with their grandchildren. Because I love hanging out with my grandchildren. They just fill me with so much love and bliss. Like, it's like I'm just in heaven when I'm with them. It's such a different love compared to the love that I had for my children. The love that I had for my children was very much like, I have to raise these kids into, good men, good women, and my grandchildren.
It's like I just need to have fun.
Oh my God, they're perfect. They're so perfect.
I just need to be a fun grandma. That's all I need to be.
I love it.
That's great. I can't believe that you're a grandma. You're so young. All right. Well, I think this was such an amazing. I could talk about this for hours.
It's so short.
I can't believe already all this time went by. But maybe in another episode we could talk about the inner child, because I love that stuff. And I hope you guys out there liked it too. I know this is like woo-woo stuff, but it does work. It does work.
Oh,
it's not woo. It's like it's just deep psychological stuff, and it does not go against religion. It does not go against what you believe in terms of God. It goes along with it. God is supposed to be love. not punishment, not sacrifice.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Lydia, thank you so much for sharing your story. Amazing story. I just love how you've come this far, and I deeply, deeply admire you. You're so awesome. And if people wanted to get in touch with you, where can they follow you on socials?
My name, Lydia Sierra Consulting. www.Lydia Sierra Consulting, and you'll find me. All my socials there. You'll find me on LinkedIn,
on Insta. Alrighty, and if you want to find me, I hope you know where to find me at Chancleta Generation on Instagram. We are no longer on the X. Bye, Ellen. And we're on the TikToks, Chancleta Generation. And if you like this podcast, please share it with somebody. Share it with others. They don't have to have gone through anything that you've seen. You just need to share it. I'm sure that it'll resonate with them. Give us a rating, and see you next episode. Bye, everyone.